Joining me now from Rome is Maximo Torero. He's a chief economist with the Food and Agriculture Organization. Maximo, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning.
A pleasure to join you.
So let's begin maybe with your thoughts on how much optimism we should have after this latest UN assessment of global hunger, that report indicating in 2025 that this was now the third consecutive year of decline in world hunger. In your view, though, Maximo, is there a risk of reversing some of that important progress?
Of course, there are always risks. The important thing this year, as you mentioned, is that this is the third consecutive year that hunger has reduced. From the previous year, it reduced in 14 million people, and from the 2022, which was the peak, it is reduced from 43 million people, putting in 645 million people. But as correctly you mentioned, there is enormous heterogeneity. Right now, the change is mostly driven by Asia, especially India, by South America, but Africa is slightly improving, which is the first time in many years that we start to see the trend in Africa start to reduce, but very marginally. In absolute numbers, Africa is increasing because population growth, as you well know, is significantly higher than Asia. So it's 2.3% or 2.4% for sub-Saharan Africa relative to 0.6%, plus there is other conflicts happening. Now, one important result also is that the only region in terms of the UN region classification that there is an increase is the case of Western Asia, no? And that's because of the conflicts. But to answer your question concretely, why there is risks? Of course, there are risks, and the risks that we are seeing now are the risks related to the conflict with Iran and what is happening in the Strait of Hormuz, geopolitical fracture, fiscal contraction in African countries, and also weather extremes, especially El Nino, which has a high probability of hitting countries very strongly.
Maximo, on one of those last thoughts, I wonder if you could just expand and explain that link between the ongoing shipping disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz and how that is having an impact on global hunger.
Of course, the report reports numbers for 2025, which is before the Strait of Hormuz. But in the report, we also do a projection of what will be the impact by 2030. And the projection without the Strait of Hormuz problem is 508 million people by 2030. With the Strait of Hormuz problem is 522 million people. And why is this? Because the Strait of Hormuz is the source of 1/3 or 1/4 of all inputs to agriculture. Natural gas, Brent oil for transportation, fertilizers, urea especially, and sulfuric acid, which is required for phosphates. So this is impacting substantially the margins of farmers in developed and developing countries, in the US, in Europe, in all parts of the world, and that will affect the amount of inputs being used because of the lower margins, and that will affect yields. And that is what we are concerned, that this big risk, if it continues to happen, because now, after the agreement, the MOU, where things start to flow a little bit, now again, we're facing challenges, so prices of Brent are over $90. So the situation is back to what it was before. If this continues, we will be affecting a second harvest now, and that will be seeing the results in December.
I have about a minute with you, Maximo. I'm wondering if maybe we can close with what is perhaps an additional key takeaway from this report that was released by the UN.
Yeah, a very important takeaway of this report is the importance of healthy diets and the cost of a healthy diet. The report shows that the cost of a healthy diet in the world is in average 4.28 PPP dollars per capita per day. This is significantly higher to the extreme poverty line of $3. As a result of that, 2.7 billion don't have access to these healthy diets, which are required to improve under and overnutrition. And it also shows that this cost of the healthy diet has increased in 25% in the last 5 years because of food inflation. So significant work to do, and that means repurposing investments towards high-value commodities, fruits and vegetables especially, but also it means a software and a hardware investment in infrastructure to reduce the losses across the value chain of these commodities, which are more perishable. And the other surprise is that the highest cost of the healthy diet is in Latin America and the Caribbean, which is a key exporting country of cereals and high-value commodities. So a lot of work needs to be done also to focus on local markets and not just to focus on the export markets.
Yeah, it's absolutely sobering, this idea that so many people still have out of reach those basic nutritional food staples that could potentially continue to bring those numbers down when it comes to world hunger. Maximo Torero, thank you so much for your time and for your analysis.
A pleasure. Thank you very much.